Cursed village of Black Hollow, the forgotten American town that should never have existed. A true horror mystery. Before you believe every abandoned town in America is simply another forgotten place, answer one question. If an entire village disappeared overnight, why would the US government erase every map that ever mentioned it? And if nobody has lived there for more than 200 years, then who keeps lighting the windows every single night? Tonight's story is based on one of the strangest forgotten legends ever whispered across the Appalachian Mountains. Some historians dismiss it as folklore. Others refuse to discuss it after sunset. But a handful of documents, eyewitness accounts, and unexplained disappearances suggest that somewhere deep inside the forests of the eastern United States, there may still exist a village that should never have survived. This is the terrifying mystery of Black Hollow. October 2024. The call came in to the Virginia State Police just after 2:13 a.m. A terrified man barely managed to speak before the line filled with static. "They're all staring at me." His breathing became frantic. "I found the village." A loud church bell echoed through the phone. Then came one final sentence. "They've been waiting for someone to remember them." The call ended. Rescue teams tracked the signal into the Appalachian wilderness the following morning. They discovered the man's abandoned pickup truck. The engine was still warm. His backpack remained untouched. His wallet, his phone, even the coffee in the cup holder was still hot. But the driver had vanished. No footprints, no blood, no signs of struggle. Only one object had appeared inside the passenger seat, an old wooden cross covered with strange symbols no investigator could identify. 3 days later, the entire search operation was quietly canceled. The official report claimed the missing hiker had likely fallen into a ravine, but local deputies knew something the public didn't. The GPS coordinates where the truck had been found did not exist on any government map. Yet every elderly resident living nearby recognized them immediately. They all whispered the same name: Black Hollow. A village nobody was supposed to remember. Before the United States became an independent nation, before the Revolutionary War, before the first official American maps were ever drawn, the dense Appalachian forests were already filled with stories older than the colonies themselves. Native tribes refused to travel through one particular valley. Hunters avoided it. Even wild animals rarely crossed it. The Cherokee believed the valley stood upon a place where the earth had forgotten to die. According to tribal oral traditions, strange lights floated between the trees. Voices called travelers by name. Entire hunting parties disappeared without leaving a single footprint. European settlers dismissed those warnings as superstition. That decision would become one of the deadliest mistakes in colonial history. In the autumn of 1731, a group of 43 settlers arrived from western Pennsylvania searching for fertile farmland. They built a small village beside a narrow river hidden beneath towering cliffs. The settlement became known as Black Hollow. At first, everything seemed perfect. The soil produced enormous harvests, game was plentiful, Fresh water flowed year-round. Within only 6 years, the village had nearly 100 residents. Travel journals described it as one of the fastest-growing frontier communities in the colonies. Yet something about Black Hollow disturbed every visitor. No birds sang inside the valley. No insects buzzed after sunset. At night, an unnatural silence settled across the entire forest. Settlers began reporting dreams, the same dream. Every single person described standing inside a church that had no roof. Rows of silent people faced the altar. None of them had faces, only empty skin stretched across smooth heads. Standing behind the altar was a tall figure dressed entirely in black. Whenever someone approached, the figure whispered only 4 words: "Stay until morning comes." Those who woke from the dream always discovered muddy footprints outside their homes, bare human footprints leading into the forest, never returning. The village priest insisted evil spirits were attempting to frighten the settlers. He ordered nightly prayers. For several weeks, the nightmares stopped. Everyone believed the danger had passed. Then, children began disappearing. Not 1, not 2, but 7 children vanished over the course of a single month. None were ever found. Parents searched every cave, riverbank, and mountain trail for miles. Nothing. No clothing, no bones, no evidence. One mother claimed she heard children laughing inside the woods every midnight. When several fathers followed the voices, carrying lanterns and rifles, they reached an ancient stone well hidden beneath twisted oak trees. The laughter stopped instantly. Inside the well, they found dozens of tiny handprints pressed into the damp stone walls. Fresh handprints, as though children had been trying to climb out. Yet the bottom contained nothing but darkness. One man lowered a rope almost 100 feet. It never touched the ground. The following morning, the rope had disappeared, completely, as if something beneath the earth had pulled it away. Fear spread through Black Hollow. Families discussed abandoning the settlement. But strange events made leaving impossible. Every wagon attempting to exit the valley somehow returned before sunset. Drivers swore they followed the same road leading north. Yet hours later, they always arrived back at the village without understanding how. Compasses spun endlessly. Maps became useless. Even experienced hunters could no longer recognize familiar landmarks. The valley itself seemed alive, changing, watching, waiting. Then came the winter of 1740. The cold arrived weeks earlier than expected. Snow buried the village under nearly 6 feet of ice. Food supplies dwindled rapidly. One evening, a hunter named Samuel Reed claimed he spotted smoke rising from an abandoned church deep within the forest. Everyone insisted no church existed there. Samuel ignored them. The next morning, he returned carrying an ancient leather-bound journal. Its pages looked centuries older than the colony itself. Written inside was a warning. To whoever discovers this place, leave before the first bell rings. Never answer anyone who calls your name after sunset. Never enter the church if every candle is already burning. And above all, if you ever meet the villagers, do not let them convince you that you belong here. Samuel laughed.
He believed another traveler had written the journal decades earlier. He threw it into the fireplace. The book refused to burn. Witnesses later claimed the flames turned blue. Every page remained untouched. That same night, for the first time in recorded history, the church bell rang across Black Hollow. There had never been a church bell in the village. No one owned one, yet every resident heard it exactly 13 times. 1, 2, 3, until the 13th echo disappeared into the surrounding mountains. The next morning, every mirror inside Black Hollow reflected something impossible. The people standing in front of them
were smiling, even when they weren't. Several families smashed every mirror in their homes. Others covered them with blankets. But reflections continued appearing in polished windows, still smiling, still watching. Within days, neighbors stopped trusting one another. Some claimed relatives were behaving differently, speaking in unfamiliar voices, standing motionless for hours, staring toward the forest. A farmer's wife awoke shortly before dawn and discovered her husband standing outside, barefoot, covered in frost, facing the distant trees. When she called his name, he slowly turned around. His eyes were completely black. Then he calmly asked, "Why are you still pretending to leave?" By sunrise, he remembered nothing. The village priest declared the settlement cursed. He gathered everyone inside the meeting hall and demanded they evacuate immediately. But when they counted the villagers, something didn't make sense. There were 112 people inside the hall. Black Hollow officially had only 93 residents. 19 strangers stood silently at the back of the room. No one recognized them, yet every one of them smiled as if they had always lived there. And when the priest asked who they were, all 19 answered at exactly the same time. "We've always been here." The room fell completely silent. Outside, the church bell rang again, once, slowly. Deep within the forest, a second bell answered. And somewhere beyond the trees, hundreds of unseen voices began singing a hymn that no living person had ever heard before. To be continued. The hymn drifted through the frozen forest like a voice carried by the wind. It wasn't loud. It wasn't threatening. In fact, it sounded strangely beautiful. That was what frightened Father Benjamin the most. Every instinct told him the singing was wrong. The melody seemed to pull at something buried deep inside the mind. Several villagers unconsciously began walking toward the forest before anyone noticed. Their eyes remained open, yet none of them appeared awake. Children quietly slipped from their mothers' hands. Old men left their fireplaces. Even the village dogs stopped barking and followed the sound into the darkness. Father Benjamin grabbed the brass church cross hanging around his neck. "Nobody moves!" His voice echoed across the meeting hall. The spell seemed to break. People suddenly looked around in confusion, as if waking from a dream. But the 19 strangers standing at the back of the room never blinked. They simply watched, smiling, exactly the same unnatural smile. One by one,
The lanterns inside the hall began going out, not because the oil had run dry. The flames simply vanished. Darkness swallowed the room. Outside, snow continued falling. Yet through the windows, everyone could clearly see dozens of figures standing between the trees. None of them moved. None approached the village. They simply watched, waiting. Before sunrise, the strangers were gone. No footprints surrounded the meeting hall. No doors had opened. No windows were broken. It was as if they had never existed. Yet 19 chairs stood empty, covered with fresh frost, even though a fire had burned throughout the entire night. Father Benjamin immediately ordered every family to pack their belongings. "We leave today." No one argued. Fear had finally become stronger than hope. By mid-morning, 22 wagons rolled north along the only road leading out of Black Hollow. The first hour passed peacefully. The second, still nothing unusual. Children smiled again. Some believed the nightmare had finally ended. Then, the lead wagon stopped. Ahead stood the wooden entrance sign, "Welcome to Black Hollow." The same sign they had passed hours earlier. Impossible. Samuel Reed climbed down from his horse. This isn't possible. He examined the wagon tracks. The fresh wheel marks ahead belonged to them. They had somehow traveled in a perfect circle without ever turning. The road behind them stretched perfectly straight. No intersections, no bends, no explanation. One elderly woman began crying. Another whispered, "The valley doesn't want us." No one laughed. They tried again, this time heading south, then east, then west. Every road, every trail, every animal path always returned to the exact same entrance sign before sunset, no matter which direction they traveled. The forest refused to release them. Panic spread through Black Hollow. Some villagers attempted to flee on foot. 3 brothers walked east carrying rifles, food, and enough supplies for 2 weeks. The following morning, their boots were discovered neatly lined up outside their own front door, still tied, still warm. The brothers themselves had disappeared. Days became weeks. People stopped counting time. Sunrise no longer arrived at the same hour. Some mornings lasted only minutes. Other nights stretched endlessly. Pocket watches stopped. Hourglasses emptied upward instead of downward. One school teacher carefully recorded each sunrise in her journal. After 37 entries, she realized the sun had risen in 6 different locations across the horizon. Nature itself no longer followed ordinary rules. Then, the dreams returned. Only this time, everyone remembered them. Every villager dreamt of attending the same church, the same roofless building, the same faceless congregation. But now, the figure dressed in black finally spoke. Not 4 words, only one question. "Who remembers your name?" Nobody knew how to answer. One by one, each dream ended exactly the same way. The faceless congregation slowly turned toward the dreamer. Then every face suddenly appeared. Not strangers, family members, friends, neighbors, people who had vanished. They all smiled, then whispered together, "Stay." The nightmares left visible marks. Each morning, villagers awoke with muddy footprints across their bedroom floors. Windows were locked, doors remained barred. No one had entered, yet wet footprints always led directly to each bed, never away from it. Even more disturbing, the footprints never matched the homeowner's feet. Father Benjamin finally decided to investigate the abandoned church Samuel Reed had described. This time, he would not go alone. 8 volunteers carried rifles, axes, lanterns, and enough rope to mark their path back home. Every 50 feet, they tied bright red cloth strips to tree branches. If the forest attempted to confuse them, the trail would remain visible. For nearly 2 hours, everything worked perfectly. The cloth markers lined the path behind them. Then, one young hunter looked back. Every red ribbon had vanished. Only bare branches remained. The ropes connecting the trees were still there, but every knot had somehow untied itself, without breaking, without cutting, without leaving a single thread behind. No one spoke. Silently, they continued walking. Late that afternoon, they found it. Hidden beneath towering black pines, an enormous stone church far older than any building in colonial America. Its architecture resembled nothing built by English settlers. Massive stone walls disappeared beneath climbing vines. Broken stained glass windows reflected sunlight that shouldn't have reached the valley. Most disturbing of all, the church showed no signs of decay. It looked abandoned, yet perfectly maintained. The wooden front doors slowly creaked open. No one touched them. A freezing wind flowed outward, carrying the unmistakable smell of fresh candles. Father Benjamin stepped inside. Rows upon rows of wooden pews stretched towards an ancient altar. Every candle burned, exactly as the mysterious journal had warned. Not one candle had melted. Their flames remained perfectly still, as though time itself had frozen. Then, Samuel Reed noticed something strange. Dust covered every surface inside the church, except one narrow aisle. Someone, or something, walked through that church regularly. Fresh footprints marked the floor, bare human feet, leading toward the altar, but never returning. Behind the altar stood an enormous stone wall covered with carved names, hundreds, perhaps thousands. Every name belonged to someone who had once lived in Black Hollow. The oldest dates reached back long before European settlement, centuries before Columbus. One hunter ran his fingers across the carvings. His own name appeared near the bottom, freshly carved, still covered in white stone dust. His birthday, his wife's name, even the names of his children were already engraved beneath it. He staggered backward. I never wrote this. Nobody had. Yet every living person from Black Hollow found their own name somewhere on the wall, already waiting, as though whoever built the church had known they would one day arrive. Father Benjamin looked closer. Beneath every name appeared another date. No one recognized its meaning until Samuel whispered, "Those aren't birth dates. They're tomorrow." Silence filled the church. Tomorrow's date had been carved beneath every single living villager's name. The priest suddenly remembered the warning, "Leave before the first bell rings." Outside, the church bell exploded across the valley. Once, twice, 3 times. By the 7th ring, every candle inside the church extinguished simultaneously. Darkness swallowed the room. Then, a child's laughter echoed behind the altar. One little girl stepped into the candlelight. She wore colonial clothing. Her face looked pale as marble. She smiled gently. "I've been waiting for you." Father Benjamin knelt. "Where are your parents?" The little girl pointed toward the stone wall. "They're all here." Before anyone could ask another question, dozens of tiny small hands slowly emerged from beneath the
church doors slammed shut behind them with a force that shook the frozen valley. No one stopped running. Branches whipped across their faces as they fled through the dark forest, their lanterns swinging wildly. Yet something was wrong. No matter how fast they ran,
The sound of children's footsteps remained exactly the same distance behind them. Not closer, not farther away, always there, always matching their pace. Father Benjamin finally shouted, "Don't look back!" Every member of the group obeyed, except Samuel Reed. For only a second, he turned his head. Moonlight illuminated dozens of children walking silently between the trees. They wore clothing from different centuries. Some dressed like colonial settlers. Others wore buckskin garments unlike anything Samuel had ever seen. One little boy looked as though he had drowned, water dripping from his sleeves without ever touching the ground. A girl carried a rag doll whose head slowly turned to watch Samuel. Then, every child stopped walking at exactly the same moment. Their mouths opened together. "The keeper is awake." Samuel stumbled. When Father Benjamin pulled him to his feet and forced him forward again, the children had vanished. Only silence remained. The villagers reached Black Hollow shortly before dawn. No one slept. Every door was barred, every window covered. The strange stone wall inside the church haunted their thoughts. How could every living person's name already be carved into ancient stone? Who or what had known they would come? Father Benjamin spread the leather journal across a wooden table. This time, something had changed. Pages that had once been blank were now filled with faded ink, as if the journal was writing itself. The new entry read, "The keeper does not create the curse. The keeper protects it. Do not seek what sleeps beneath the church. Some doors were never meant to be opened." That afternoon, one of the village children disappeared. Her name was Emily Carter. She was only 8 years old. Unlike the previous disappearances, this time there were tracks. Tiny, muddy footprints led away from her family's cabin, straight toward the abandoned church. The villagers armed themselves with rifles, axes, lanterns, and ropes. Nearly every adult joined the search. This time, they refused to run. They intended to bring Emily home. As they approached the church, they noticed something impossible. The building looked different. Yesterday, its stone walls had been cracked and weathered. Today, the walls appeared newly built. Fresh mortar filled every seam. The stained glass windows were whole again, glowing softly despite the overcast sky. It looked alive. Inside, every candle burned once more. At the far end of the nave stood Emily. She faced the altar without moving. "Emily," her mother whispered. The little girl slowly turned. Tears streamed down her face. "I can't leave." "Why not?" her father cried. Emily raised a trembling hand and pointed toward the floor. "They're holding me." The wooden floors beneath her feet bulged upward. Long, pale fingers pressed against the wood from below, not breaking through, only waiting. Father Benjamin stepped forward, lifting the brass cross. In a voice that echoed through the church, he declared, "You have no claim over this child." The candles flickered violently. A deep vibration rolled through the stone walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. Then, the altar began to move. It slid several feet across the floor with a grinding roar, revealing a spiral staircase descending into complete darkness. An icy wind rushed upward. It carried whispers in dozens of forgotten languages. Samuel raised his lantern. The light disappeared after only a few steps, as if the darkness itself swallowed it whole. From somewhere below came a slow, steady Heartbeat. Not human, far too deep. Boom, boom, boom. Each pulse made the church floor tremble. Emily suddenly gasped, "It's calling my name!" Then, every bell in the valley rang at once, not one after another, all together. The deafening sound shattered windows throughout Black Hollow. As the echoes faded, a towering shadow slowly climbed the staircase. At first, only its hand appeared, then its arm, then the outline of a figure far too tall to be human. Its face remained hidden beneath layers of darkness, but two pale eyes opened, watching every soul inside the church. The keeper had finally come, and it wasn't protecting the villagers. It was deciding who would remain in Black Hollow forever. To be continued.